Peace and blessings and keep up the lessons. You know who this is. This is your brother, your boy, but not your little boy, Crypto B-Boy from, you know, Crypto B-Boy. Yeah, I'm here. Man, we got some good stuff going on today. Of course, I was sitting in T's space, Twitter space, and guess who came in? Yeah, and this is the second part of my video that I did before. But yeah, Quincy Jones, my man came in right on time. And I just want to clarify because I'm, being who I am as a Muslim in a religious sense, that when I was saying that he was a godsend, that's a little more high ranking in as far as in relation to God and prophets and all this type of stuff. So I don't want to put him in that position. He's a young man, very educated in his field and very knowledgeable. And I was trying to say like he was a divine inspiration or no divine intervention. That's what I meant to say actually. That how everything got put into place to where he would come in and it was needed and it was called, it was something that we've been calling for and asking for them to finally collab. If I'm not sure if I think they communicated. T has spoken to him before and they went back and forth DMs or whatever. But it was great to have them together and that Quincy was able to break some stuff down. So we're gonna get into it and just stay with me and be ready. Here we go. I'm ready. Alrighty then. Yeah, you know what it is. So, thank you for coming and being here and stay with me. Stay with your bro. This video might be a little bit longer because I want to get as much as I can in. And don't forget to subscribe, to your bro. And, to help keep the algorithm going, click that like button, share the video out. But subscribe because you will get more videos and we will give some value to you as well as me as a content creator. So I appreciate you, those who have, and don't forget. Okay, thank you. So anyway, let me get into and jump right on in it because time is going by. I got to do things. I'm gonna be busy today with my family doing things too. But I just wanted to get this out to you guys. And this is Quincy. Excuse me. Yeah, Quincy speaking. But this is T's Twitter spot that was 2 days ago. And it was great. It was a great session, man. We really had some good stuff that we got. A lot of people coming in, bringing their value. T did his thing like usual. That's my man, and he does his thing, and it's just great. So I'm gonna let you listen from this point, which I'm extracting. And it's like I told you in my other video prior to this, in part one of this, which is based on utility tokens, XRP, and more. That was T's topic and so forth to cover. And basically, I just did this video to kind of like bring some excerpts and bring some extracts and my point of view in relation to what they were speaking about and commenting on it and so forth. Now you can agree with me, you don't have to agree with me what I might comment on, and even you don't have to agree with them. But just comment in the comment space if you have anything you want to say and ask a question, whatever. But also, I would say to follow T Crypto Spot on Twitter, Facebook. He's been there before. Him and K Moore Kirk have been doing their thing there. They Instagram or wherever you can find him. But has YouTube videos, plenty of videos to give you some information at that level of where he's at and what he speaks on. And then also Quincy Jones. So let's get into this so we can get to the point of where we at, where I'm going to be at. And like I said, I'm going to be extracting for some value. I'm pulling out certain points that are very important and the things that we've been dealing with the back and the forth and the tribalism and all the craziness that's been going on with FUD and shilling and all this stuff, and trying to just kind of dissolving that and getting rid of it and just getting ourselves to where we're supposed to be at as investors. And just listen again to that. That's a lot of my videos prior to this video. If you go back and you follow, because I'm going to post videos that will go back to some of the videos that I was dealing with a lot of these issues and letting us know and putting our mindset to why we entered into this space. Why did we come into crypto? When I first entered, it was based on investing. It was based on money. I wanted something that was passive income that can give me more money. But I didn't know it could be at this level, and I didn't know that the technology was this way. So it opened more horizons for me. And we should have this. This is what we just the knowledge alone. The significance of the knowledge is phenomenal for us to have, so we won't have to worry about the fact that we don't even have money. The knowledge that we have can even be monetized, like what I'm trying to do here. But I'm not there yet. But you know, a T, he's a TI. I mean, he's a excuse me for incorrect explaining that he's a IT. And this guy, he doesn't monetize his videos on YouTube. He's been doing his thing. And trying to get word out, awareness, bring people to understanding the technology, as well as just the investment part, which is what there's a lot of this, what we were talking about, is bringing together all together to show us that this is what it is about. It's about finance, and we're investing in that financial opportunity that technology is giving a high level advanced type of way of transferring that wealth, transferring that value. As they say, the internet of value. You understand what I'm saying? Technology of value, fintech. Look at these words. But anyway, let me let you go. And let you get in, and we'll listen to T opening up. All right. Getting into some of the conversation with some of the other guys. This is Marvin. One of the guys he gets into is with speaking is Marvin Lowe, I think his name is, and he was bringing some good points. And then we go down through the line of the other people. Okay. Oh, give me a minute. I'm sorry. Got to get that thing back up. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, here we go.
Down, so to speak. All righty. So, do we have anyone else that wants to come up to the stage and give some value? Or anyone that
I
has
just
any.
I just had one thing. We really need to get Quincy on one of these things one day, because it's like you said one time you were speaking. You said they were bullying him, and I don't think he's going to have that same experience in here with a bunch of loving, like-minded people like we have in this space. So I don't know who can reach out to him, but it'd be real nice to hear him talk and y'all to collab once. That's all I got.
Yeah, no worries. I actually invited Neil Hartner. He may be busy tonight because he hasn't hopped on. But we've had some really good conversations, and Quincy, he actually follows me, and I follow him too. So I'll definitely reach out to Quincy. I've talked with him, briefly before a while ago. And I'll send him a message and ask him if he's interested on and coming into the space and see if we can get some dialogue. And what was he being bullied about? Well, it was probably, let me guess, was it his sentiments about Bitcoin?
I think so, man. I think those dudes always got a lot to say. I mean, they do it to everybody. You can't comment on anybody's video without them having something to say that's negative. In which it doesn't really bother me, but for a dude like Quincy, he's like too smart for that shit. You know what I mean? Like he just like he don't even need to deal with that. And I feel like they do that kind of stuff to him because they know he ain't gonna say nothing bad. He not gonna get in there and get mad and start cussing like me or somebody like us. He gonna be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, and I agree. He's a no nonsense guy, man, and this guy, he's above that. And in the circles that he's been in, working in his field and so forth, these are people who they're above all this foolishness. They might talk about and deal with, like, maybe going back and forth and debating about what kind of protocols they're going to use, what kind of different things that they're going to use as far as technological is concerned on their networks and so forth. They might, argue about that or go back and forth about that. But that's trying to get to a resolution where they can actually get something done and they can make some progress in that which they're doing to fit the right, functionality that's going to basically give their network or optimize their network and put it at the level that it needs to work. And that's what these guys, these devs and people in those fields, IT is going to do, and T can speak for that as well, and he's spoken for that. Matt and Neil, even as we know, Schwartz, David, come on. So basically, let's let him go. We're going to get into this guy named Alejandro, who he brought a lot of value. He's a guy from banking and so forth. He came up in banking as far as his field of work and so forth, and he knows those things on a basis level, geopolitical, even to that extent he's spoken about, but he was dealing more on what he knows and what he's experiences. But basically, let you hear him, excuse me, and then we'll go from there. All right.
And he's just
Hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta cue it up to that point. Just give me a second. Okay. Oops. Daisy. Went too far. Hold on, guys. Alrighty. Let me see. Okay, here we go.
So with that being said, yeah, man, I'll definitely reach out to Quincy and see if he ever wants to come on the stage. And yeah, I definitely have some good questions for him. I could definitely pitch him some good ones, and I think he'll knock them out of the park.
And I hope everybody in here, is on the same side as far as doesn't matter what crypto you have. I think if you're paying attention and you want crypto to really happen, this XRP case is the first of its kind. It's going to set the boundaries and rules moving forward for all cryptos in the United States. And then I think the rest of the countries are going to follow suit. Some of them have kind of already moved forward thinking they're going to, they have their own set rules. But I think we are like the leaders. And so once that happens, I hope everyone's cheering for that, because if you've noticed how strange crypto is, has anyone here ever met anyone over 50 that owns crypto?
That's me, 53, that hypothetically owns crypto.
40. I mean, even in my area, friends, I rarely meet anybody who owns crypto, and it's because the top investors in the world, including the United States, are all probably 60 and older. This Munger guy, Warren Buffett, all those guys are like old school, old men who don't know how it works, don't want to know how it works. They don't need to. They already have billions of dollars.
And correct, and I speak on that because as investors, that's another thing. Like with these guys, they don't even care about what we're talking about. To them, they have invested with traditional ways of investment. They are older guys. They've been around for years, and they've done this from the ground up. Some of them might have been given a silver spoon, families that had money that was able to front them, or they came from a rich family and their father, gave them money, and did this and that, and set up their first startup in a business or whatever, and they start from the ground up and having to build themselves and do their own thing, and then eventually get employees and all of that, and all what they had to do, right? But investing in those types of opportunities that they did got them to where they are now, way above us. You understand what I'm saying? And some of us, we hear back and forth like this, like Quincy's going to mention when you hear him later. And also, T has been speaking about, and several people, and myself included, in my videos. And you need to go back and listen. And why this is important is because your mental state of being, as we know, as T has been speaking about, and others, coming into this space needs to be fixed. Because you came into this space with all the baggage you might have mentally, and just things you're going through and emotions and so forth, and everybody wants to approach, of course, or their goal is to get money, get wealth, and have financial freedom, right, as we've been hearing. But if you don't have the mental train of thought, like T was talking about, being in the military and so forth, and that he has a more stronger constitution of patience, and being able to sustain a stability, have stability in his his mindset that he won't allow himself to go too far and bug out and just be on this tangent of coming at people and attacking people like they do in these spaces, and or being tribalized, being a tribalist type of person mentality, or just groupie, fan club type of stuff. And that type of stuff is no good either as well. Like, I, AT is my man, Quincy's my man, but they men, they human beings, they're human beings, and there's no worship to none of. I don't worship no human being. The one who created the human being and everything else, that's who I worship. So it's none of that. Some people calling, T God and or prophet. I don't know if he responds to that, but you know what I'm saying. But besides that, the point is that we're imperfect and we got to set ourselves straight. We gotta get ourselves together and I'll get our heads together as an investor. Know where you're at, know who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing this, and what is the aspects of being this type of investor that you are. Because in this space, I've noticed people have taken so many different types of traits from different types of investors. You got contrarian, you got regular personal investors, you got venture capitalists, all these different types, and several. So, and there's different ways in how they approach investing, and what are things that they are focused to or determined to invest and get a gain, get a return in their investment, and this like this. So, it's very important. But anyway, let it go. It's the time is going by, and I got to get this video done. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me cue it up.
They don't care how it works, and they don't want it to work because it's just new and different. But if you look at your bank right now, it's all digital. It is. If you have a debit card, it's digital. If you have a credit card, it's digital. If you have $10,000 in your bank account right now, and you go to your bank tomorrow and you say, "Hey, I'd like to withdraw my $10,000 in cash," they're going to look at you and say, "Okay, we're going to need about a week to get the money because we don't actually have it here." And you have to wait a week, and then they got to get it from the central bank, and they got to ship it in a armored truck, and then they got to deposit it, and then you can come in there, and then you can get it. So the whole world's already gone digital. This is just setting the rules and real rules to protect everyone and make it legitimate. And the banks are going to want, the government wants it because they can see where it goes. Goodbye to all the drug deals. Goodbye to all the all the cartels.
Well, maybe it's not going to be all goodbye because they're going to find some way. That's organized crime, and that's people with nefarious things. Like you got hackers, they always find a way to hack, even after they get some sort of security that can non-hacking security that could be established in these computer systems. It don't matter. These guys are going to think out of the box and think beyond that and try to find a way. So the same with the criminals too. But anyway, let's go.
I don't know how they're going to deal, but goodbye to all the cartels, because now the government can see where every single transaction.
But that's true. The government will be able to see every transaction thanks to blockchain, and you can find things right on the daggone Ethernet. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, the blockchain is something else. But anyway,
goes and who got it, and that's what they want.
Well, let me ask you a question. How long? Because I know there's
well, I meant Etherscan, not Ethernet.
like a process of phasing stuff out. How long?
Okay, so let me try to cue this up because I want to get to the point where they were discussing the issues at hand a little bit. What I'm going to do because of my time, I'm just going to say what I was going to do. I was going to show you, I was going to let you listen to when T was talking to Marvin, and they was basically speaking about how people, and do your own due diligence. Go and watch the video. What you can do is go in to Twitter Space. Of course, go into Twitter and pull up T's crypto spot on Twitter, his account, and then you should be able to pull up and see this actual recording of the Twitter space that he did, and then you can go in there and listen to it yourself. You don't have to listen to it all at once. It's 5 hours or almost 5 hours, but you can just sit for a while, watch what you want to watch, and you can cue it up to where Quincy speaks, which is where I'm at pretty much, and he's like speaking in the area of the 234. After 234, he gets well, T brings him up. Put it that way. So anyway, let's get past this. We're gonna get to that part where T brings him up, and I apologize for any of the other people who were speaking. There was a girl, Julie. She's nice, seems like a nice lady, and she was talking about T very well, and got into some other questions towards them. Alejandro spoke some more, and hit some good points. So listen to them guys, man. They were really dropping some jewels and speaking about some good points. And even before then, with Kirk and T, and myself, I spoke and so forth. But these guys were great. Okay, so let me go up, move this joint right up. Give me a minute because it's 20 minutes, 21 minutes into the video right now. So I'm gonna bring this up for you guys. Just bear with me. I appreciate you guys. I mean, this thing was something else. I just enjoyed myself. I was at my job, and I was kind of yelling a little bit because I was real emotional. It was hitting a lot of points that reminded me of what I needed to, what I've been trying to tell people. Hold on, I got to go back in because I didn't get
Toxic, and I guess that's what
done because the.
Okay, I'm almost there. Just give me a second. Okay, hold on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, crypto coin quietly is following.
One of the banks actually owned them or bought the majority of them out.
Okay, here we go. Closer to what I wanted to get at. Okay, sorry guys. This thing, so you got to really hit it right on point.
Points, so they turn on each other.
So,
exactly how it should be.
Hold on.
I didn't know that.
One of the utility regarding converting one nation's currency was it's like 3-hour whiteboard video.
Whether it's people on social media,
e-backs, and all of these other assets up that cross. Yeah, it's relatable, but that's where I think that they.
Quincy's awesome. You're definitely one of my favorites on YouTube too. You're awesome. But I'm gonna step now.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and bring Quincy up to the stage. Give me just a sec. Let me go in here to request it, and we'll let him up on the stage. All right, Quincy, you should be a speaker.
Hey T, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, bro? Long time no talk.
Seriously, it's sort of like I always see you in passing, kind of like both of us seeing each other through the windows, but not actually being able to say anything. It's cool to be able to say what's up.
I know, man. How's your day going?
Pretty chill, actually. I was kind of I got the Q signal. Someone someone tweeted at me that you were having a space. I was like, oh, cool. Might hop in here. And I was just listening to what you were saying before, and actually, oh my gosh, you kind of touched on something that it eats away at me all the time. It's so annoying. But basically, we were sort of talking about how there's so much just talk in the space, and a lot of people talking crap, and there's always sort of people bickering and all this crap on social media. And want to know something I noticed? Definitely sort of seeing like everything, whether it's people on social media, retail traders, institutional traders, other devs, other projects. You want to know what's up?
What's up, bro?
At the end of the day, no matter what anybody's saying towards anything, even the people that are just doing it to continuously build their businesses. And as their businesses grow on these networks, so will these networks grow. And it doesn't matter what people online say. It doesn't matter what, like, you see. I get into this with Bitcoin people all the time. Like, oh my God, well, XRP's like this or XTC's like that, and Bitcoin's blah blah blah. And I'm just like, shut up. Like, there are people using these technologies in the way they're going to use them, and the people who bicker the most about them don't even touch them. So it's
correct, and that's the point. You're making big deals out of stuff that we don't even need to make a big deal over. There's more to this. There's more to this.
like this. Oh my God, it is so freaking, like, at least for me, it is just so exhausting. And at least for me, I try to just share my perspective, so at least those who don't get a chance to see all that can at least get a glimpse. But even then, it's just like, I guess the best way I could put it is there's a lot of talk and there's a lot of doing, but the people that are doing aren't talking about what they're doing, and the people that are talking aren't really doing anything. Not that that's bad. Like, I love being able to talk and have conversations. It's just when it gets into this whole like shit like throwing contest of, oh, this token sucks because of this or this, and there's actually like very like critical things to be said about really every project. Like, if you want to,
and I get what he's saying. It's like, for me, like, I'm not a tech guy. I come into this space as an investor, right, on a more business level, and kind of business minded perspective. Him, on the other hand, tech guy, dev now, and working with Xenfin, on XDC network. You know what I'm saying? And then you got T. He's doing what he does, but he knows and he understands the tech. He has the knowledge of the language and what they speak and how they understand how things work, protocols, this and like that, right? But you got people who, and these guys are doing the work in it. They're in it. They're the ones doing the work. They're in that environment, really, really real time doing it. And Neil and Matt and the likes of these guys, right? David Schwartz, the big kahuna, right? And for Ripple, right? So they're doing their thing. So they're just like flowing. They're just it's all good. This is what we do, and we move, and we, okay. Let's get this together. Boom, 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 bang, bang. Let's build this program. Who's gonna get us this? And it's just phenomenal for me because I was always, and everybody got different mindsets. Human beings have different minds, type of brains. You have creative, you have analytical, and from there you can take it to. But I those are the main two: creative minded person and analytical. I'm more creative minded, but the level of my analytical can go but so far, right? And I'll need help and assistance to help me with some analytical, like mathematics and physics and those areas, engineering, so forth like that. That goes a little bit beyond me. So dealing with like coding and this and like that. If you help me along, like my brother knows a little bit about it, he knows HTML, or I think it's HTML, right? And which is dealing with sending the the basic URL or whatever, and in a text language, so forth like that. It's like a sense of coding. But I started learning these things, and it became fascinating to me, and I liked it more than when I just saw it. And I saw the guy say, "Oh, those are techie geeks, right?" Nah, man. Just because from where I come, it used to be like, yo, he's a nerd, or he's a dork, or like in school, high school, and then putting these guys down. But look at these guys, top guys now, top guns. You know what I'm saying? Goats, ISO goats, right? And I highly respect them, because they take their mind and they're using it, and they're making things happen with it. They make things happen. They create things with it, and I love that. And that's why I'm a creative mind thinker. So I know how to create mechanically wise. I know how to create with my hands. Even when I got into music, I learned how to play music on by hand, not by the music that you would see written music notes and so forth, right? Music theory. No, I did it and I learned it a little bit, but okay. But when it came to hands on, boom, I could play a guitar, I could play a bass. Drums is nothing, because I used to bang on the tables, do all that. And then especially when I got into my Afrocentricity of my family's background, going dated the lineage of Africa, started learning how to play the African drums. So those things that I learned that way because of my creative thinking. But that's the thing about it, is people come into these spaces and they don't realize that these guys are creators, and not just devs or programmers and so forth, but or developers, but they help to create systems. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they're about. We coming in, we're about money. A good portion of us about money. But what makes us well-rounded is that we open-minded and we listen to these guys to give us the guidance that we need to be better business people or better investors, because we know that what this is and what this is built on is on some utility. It's on a use case. It's going to do something. It's going to give me more value in what I'm investing especially in the future. And that's what we have to do. That makes you well-rounded. So this narrow-minded tribalism and all that type of stuff, and thinking that, like he said, you're somebody not doing anything, and you're talking a lot, but you're not really hands-on in it. And then you have some of the devs that have been in some of these spaces, but they're there's maybe ulterior motives. So nobody is perfect. Even the devs are not perfect. Even the ITs are not perfect. They have some issues with them as well as in investors or people who are money grabbers coming here. Whatever reasons or whoever you are and how you came into this space, it depends on your mindset. It depends on your character and personality, who you are, really. And that's how it comes down to. But anyway, I'm sorry I spoke a little bit too much. Let me let my man Quincy go.
Want to talk about like the sustainability of different networks, or you want to talk about like future crypto economic theory in terms of like what builds demand and how networks are able to increase productivity? There are serious conversations to be had here, but most aren't really having those conversations. And I feel lucky enough to maybe have a few of those conversations in a meeting or two. But those are the real conversations, and if we can start like at least opening that up a little bit. I definitely see it a bit, especially in like the XRP space and sort of the ISO space, really having those like real conversations. But at least for me, it's just so exhausting being online and just the amount of mudslinging rather than just productive conversation about things. And like, and the best way I could
productive. That's what I've been speaking about. Sorry to cut in again. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go.
Look at it is like, imagine all of us, instead of crypto, let's say we were all into like stocks and we were into like, the stock market or something. And imagine instead of all of us talking about like broader economics and finance and like sophisticated
economics and finance. That's another thing. A lot of what, as an investor, this is the background that you should have. I took a macroeconomics course, and it helped me. And I have a book like this big, full of the information. So I every now and then extract from it to bring my memory back. 53-year-old memory that's not working as well as it used to work. But I have to go back, and I got to go and remind myself and review. But I learned a lot of things, and then being behind people who have followed in that same footsteps or learned on their own an understanding of economics. Now, this young guy, Quincy speaks about later, and you see it in the video if you go all the way through. He talks about how he's going to get invested and invest his time to go and learn a little more on an investor level and in more an economical level of things to give him more a better understanding of it as a business as well as an investor.
Concepts. We're just going, my company's better than your company. No, this company's better than your company. No, that company sucks. All this, and it's just a mud throwing contest of everyone talking shit rather than like actually having a genuine conversation about anything.
Yeah,
probably because most crypto owners are millennials, a little bit younger.
Well, and I think the tribalism is also a result of investor fatigue, right? I don't think I'm going to be 100% honest, and I've said this before. I studied crypto 4 years prior to even jumping into it. Like, I saw the volatility in the market and I didn't understand it. And rather than jump,
and that's how it was with me with Bitcoin, because when I first came into Bitcoin, I wasn't sure, and I saw the volatility. It was distorted currency. And I wasn't sure, meaning that it didn't have, to me, it didn't have tangibility, or it wasn't tangible. So I was kind of leery about it. So and I missed the train, but it's all good because now I'm here.
in with my emotions, I took a step back and took a look at a bunch prior to getting involved with the space. And I think it would behoove people, to do that before throwing money that you can't even afford to lose at projects and then essentially projecting your anger onto other people. And I think that's why we see some of the mudslinging we see.
I think a lot of it is anxiety and insecurity, especially around when you look at investment. And the reason I say it like that is when you look at people and investing, and this goes in all regards. And I've seen this parallel, and the reason I say it this way is, so I like to know.
This is my main. The main point is this on what he's going to speak right now. I'm gonna let it go all the way till he finishes, and then we're gonna finish this video out, and you can go on your own and listen to the rest. Him speaking because the time's going by, but this, just please listen to this. This is really important. This is the main part that I was speaking of a lot.
A ton of developers that work in iOS and stuff and work in Apple products and all that crap. And obviously, like, I probably know a bunch of investors that invest in the same thing too. Now, you could have an investor and a dev both invested in the same thing, but like the confidence for the thing. And I'm not saying like devs have confidence. What I'm saying is when you see a lack of confidence, you start seeing like sporadic behavior. And you see anxiety, I'd say you start seeing like excessive speculation that just starts like fraying into a bunch of different like spheres. And it usually just comes down to that notion of, oh, I made a decision. Was it a right decision? And then you start second guessing that decision. Then you start getting into, okay, like, is there going to have, like, am I going to be losing money? I have something on the line. And I think in a normal, like, investing world that already exists. But with the tribalism of crypto, you have something a little bit different. And that I call it the Bitcoin effect. And really what it is everyone believing that whatever project they're invested in is going to be on the scale or in the market cap or make them rich like Bitcoin made other people rich. So it's almost like that's the copium that sort of gets through the anxiety, but anything that questions that only it amplifies the anxiety. And the reason why I say there's a difference, at least from my perspective, is like all the devs do not give a flying fuck. Like even the Apple devs, I see stuff on the news all the time where it's like, oh my god, Apple, blah, blah, blah. And then like the devs are like, oh yeah, there's like new little SDKs coming out to allow for like the M1 chip, like some random esoteric shit. But it's just a perspective on it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like both of them can be invested in Apple stock, both of them. But one will be super anxious, and the other one. And don't get me wrong, doesn't mean either one knows what's going to happen. It's just a perspective. And I think the biggest thing is with crypto is because you have that amplified idea of like, and I think you get a lot of narrative around it too, like financial freedom and financial independence and people wanting to be rich. When you get a lot of that like really built up together, as well as like everybody sort of talking shit to each other. There's another weird thing that I've noticed in the space that I find kind of hilarious, and it's sort of like the amount of bickering over like really esoteric functions or functionality being used on these networks. And the way I see it is it's almost like people like bitching over like which Linux distro is better. It's like, oh no, Ubuntu's better.
Oh my
No, Red Hat's
God.
better. No, Debian's better. No, Raspbian's better. And it's just like, bro, like, oh my god, like, what are you trying to do? Like, that's what it feels like in the space with this. Like, it's like, yeah, sure, in some capacities this may do this better, and in other capacities this may be used for this, and but it's not like a blanket notion, but it's almost treated that way. And like I said, I think it's just driven by a lot of angst around like the decisions that were made and the amount of money and sort of the hope that like things will pan out well. And I don't know if it's just the environment that creates that or if there's like a culture on top of that. And I don't know where the culture may have come from in terms of like that competitive notion of, oh, my token's gonna go to the moon while the rest of them are gonna crash. And I think that's sort of a mixture between like there is the future for some of these networks, but there's also a lot of scams, and everyone assumes that their whatever is the best while everything else is a scam. And it really just seems as if, at least from my perspective, there's sustainable technologies and unsustainable technologies. Obviously, you can put the scams in the unsustainable ones, but in terms of like questioning what the sustainable ones are, like you're really getting into, like I said, what I call like future crypto economic theory. Like everything.
I loved it. I'm going to take that from you, Quincy. That is the greatest. Let's run that back if we can. Hold on for a second.
The weird thing that I've noticed in the space that I find kind of hilarious and it's sort of like the amount of bickering over like really esoteric functions or function trying to do. Like that's what it feels like in the space with this. Like it's like, yeah, sure, in some capacities this may do this better, and in other capacities this may be used for this, and but it's not like a blanket notion, but it's almost treated that way. And like I said, I think it's just driven by a lot of things, a lot of angst around like the decisions that were made and the amount of money and sort of the hope that like things will pan out well. And I don't know if it's just the environment that creates that, or if there's like a culture on top of that. And I don't know where the culture may have come from in terms of like that competitive notion of, oh, my token's going to go to the moon while the rest of them are going to crash. And I think that's sort of a mixture between like there is the future for some of these networks, but there's also a lot of scams. And everyone assumes that their whatever is the best while everything else is a scam. And it really just seems as if, at least from my perspective, there's sustainable technologies and unsustainable technologies. Obviously, you can put the scams in the unsustainable ones, but in terms of like questioning what the sustainable ones are, like you're really getting into, like I said, what I call like future crypto economic theory. Like
Crypto economics. Let's get it together, people. This brother is something else, but he gets in and he knows what he's talking about. He is a very, what am I trying to say? I don't want to say advanced. I mean, he's advanced in his knowledge, know that. But the type of person that he is, he's before his time in a sense, like a child prodigy. He's not a child. He's a young man in his I think late 20s. If I can't remember if he mentioned his age before in his videos, but man, he's something else. But let me let you finish up a little bit. We're gonna finish this video out.
Like everything that you're going to talk about is essentially like your own economic theory being put forth that's going to be tested on these networks. And obviously, depending on how these different theories and these different components are able to work with each other, will determine, I guess, your ability to be able to predict the future and being able to see how these, because this is no different than any other like market. If you're able to truly have an understanding of the economics of that market, you can have a pretty good understanding of what's going to take place. And obviously, these are a little bit different because these technologies are being built and constantly being changed every day. But the biggest thing is these markets are so immature that we don't even have like really good terminology, really good conceptual understandings, and really good like means of being able to convey the ideas in such a way to where we can show like measurement and growth and be able to compare these things in reality and be able to actually like show show some sort of economic activity and be able to talk about that activity. And there is a lot going on, but I think there's a lot more going on in terms of people just like manipulating financial instruments or manipulating certain tokens as instruments as a way to either get rich or artificially increase the value of their assets. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is no different than like how I originally came from the startup world. So people artificially inflating the notion of their NFT or artificially inflating the value of their token is no different than startups trying to leverage the value of some small share of stock and trying to get as much funding into it to leverage the entire value of the company to make it worth billions off of a couple $1 million worth of investment or something. It's no different. The only difference is it's way easier to do this now because technically anybody can do this from a computer rather than trying to manipulate sophisticated trade instruments. Because if you were to try to do this in any other, most of the other trade instruments are actually like super regulated. So you'd already get like regulatory agencies and potentially criminal agencies knocking at your door if you started messing around with a lot of this. But then that goes into that whole like economic theory portion of how many different behaviors are being played out essentially in crypto that wouldn't be acceptable in any other space. And why wouldn't they be acceptable in those other spaces? Well, because we would have these unintended consequences, people getting scammed, rug pulls, projects being artificially inflated in price and crashing, just so much crap. And I mean, you also get into the notion of crypto and people liking the idea of open source and then bringing in the question of, well, what level of regulation are we going to have with this open source tech? It's just, there's so much that go into this that could be a really good conversation. But about halfway through the conversation, someone's going to yell out, well, does that mean this coin's the best? And then it just breaks out in like a bar fight.
Well, and then there's that, and you brought up an excellent point earlier, Quincy, when you had stated, you could have two people invested in the same thing, and one person, maybe a dev, or in the technical field, and the other person's speculative, and they don't work with the tech, and the people that work with the tech don't give a shit, right? Like I'm in IT, so I'm going to look at this more so from a protocol standpoint. Like, oh, okay, I can see the value behind this protocol and what it's meant to do, and how institutions globally can benefit from it, instead of worrying about, oh my God, I checked my phone and XRP is down 2 cents. I'm going to go cry myself a river. Like I'm going to be more focused on the technological aspect of what I'm invested in, and so and you bring up another good point about the conversation taking a dark turn. Like people will look at things like Enbridge, Huda, Dunbar, and UDPN and say, oh, so yeah, it looks like they're taking uh, copies of code from pre-existing DLTs and building private framework. And then it's like, oh, yeah, well, that's a good thing, because institutions need privacy. And then it takes a toxic turn into, wow, well, that means that XRP is a shitcoin because now they've developed a private solution that doesn't need to interoperate ever with open source public mainnet environments. And so,
But usually, from my position, is that they have ulterior motives. That maybe they're going to another project and then they want to shill over to that project, or that like you were saying or T was saying that people were burnt out and then they just lose faith in that, and then they just want to make sure they can build up enough proof for themselves that they're now going to decide to make the right decision to leave or go out of that project, or out of investing in it as well, giving up all their bags.
so now that means XRP and the XRP ledger and XDC's network and anything else that's open source and decentralized is going to be obsolete. And it's like, how the hell did we even end up here?
It's so funny that you say that
And why would they? What's the reason? What's the benefit out of it?
too, because let me tell you the translation of that. That's like saying, I think AWS is in trouble, Amazon Web Services is in trouble, because guess what? Someone decided to set up their own local data center and their own local data farm. Looks like they don't need them anymore. They don't. Who needs cloud if you have your own servers? It's like, dude, like of course you're going to use these different technologies for different reasons. Like it makes no sense for this notion of, well, you have this one thing, therefore you'll never. Like I said, that's like somebody saying, what's the point of Microsoft if freaking iOS exists? It's like, oh my god, dude.
He's comical, man. He's something else. He's a great guy. I like him, man.
Like, yeah, you see what I mean? Dude. But one thing I wanted to emphasize on is so one thing that I'm starting to notice, and I find myself sort of in a really interesting spot in the middle of this, is like obviously there's like the technological portion and the open source element of these software, but then there's also the more I dive into this, the more I guess you could say like opaque this question sort of becomes. And what happens is any of these tokens on any of these networks can really be fully programmatic financial instruments or these financial tools. And it really doesn't take much to understand the basis of like a stock or even a token, or even getting into the idea of like what NFTs can be represented as. But what ends up happening is there's actually a lot of really sophisticated finance stuff under a lot of this. Like one thing that I'm actually taking a huge draw to is because I'm trying to determine whether these networks would be considered commodities or not. Is I'm actually studying for the Series 3 exam, the Commodities Futures exam, just to get a better understanding of and I'm looking at a few of these other FINRA exams, but just to get a better understanding of what traditionally these instruments would be used for, and two, what these instruments look like when they're
and that's what I'm talking about. He's expanding his knowledge. He's expanding his horizon in this field. This is fintech. Just take it from the companies. Why they used it? Why they brought up? Why these multi-million-dollar companies now going into billion-dollar companies like Ripple, that with the market cap, that they use that term fintech, because it's a term that means that what the whole space is based on, finance and technology merging together. Simple. So you need to know about finance. You need to know what it takes to be an investor, what type of investor you are in this space, because you're not investing in stocks, you're investing in a digital currency. You need to understand, what is a digital currency? What is its makeup? What is its use case? That's what they're trying to get at. But I'm not going to continue on because it's 49 minutes in. I apologize, guys. I appreciate you listening to me and listening to these guys here. I gave this to you so you can enjoy it. Some of you might have missed it, whatever. But still, he recorded it. T recorded it. It's in Twitter Space. In his Twitter account. You can find the Twitter Space and find the recording and listen to the rest of Quincy. I may do a third video. Depends. I may not have to because you really can go on your own. But I may be interested in speaking, allowing him to speak, just letting him speak. I love when he speaks because he gets into the niche of it. I mean, if I could sit in front of him in courses that he might do eventually one time, I'm going to be there. Know that he's done stuff. Some of his spaces that he did one space. He was speaking about NFTs. He was speaking about how he built his own. I don't know if it was an interface or he was doing his own building of a different like off chain, if you want to say, type of. And I'm sorry, I'm not too familiar with that term of what they talk about when they doing something. Oh, building his own like. Man, I can't get it. But you know what I mean. He was building on the XDC, and he's doing his own creation of these cards and so forth. Well, anyway, it deals with NFT. He spoke on tokenization. You might be able to find that in his space, Quincy, your bro Quincy, and Quincy Coin Club Quincy, and find that Twitter space that he did, and he spoke on that. And it was all related to XDC and his works in Zenfin and so forth. But it was great. And he goes in. You know how he goes in. You got to follow him. You got to be able to listen to him regularly to get used to him. If you have any inclination of this type of technology or any understanding or comprehension, then do so. Because you will gain from it. You will learn. You will get better. Just like with T, all the followers of T, and myself included, what he speaks on. And then when Neil came in, I was really like, I wish he could be there with us some more too, and do some spaces, some in the future that will get into how Ripple kind of brings this Ripple, these some of these products and getting more into those products as well, so we can get some stuff in depth and recorded, so you can always go back. Okay, but anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe to your bro. You know what I mean? Because it helps with the algorithm to get me up to that level where eventually I can monetize. And I want to bring more, more value, more benefit, and of course, I do my research. I don't get enough time to do the research that I would like to do because I do know how to do it. And Google is very easy to do, to help you to do that as a tool. But I'm from the old school of encyclopedias, going back to that. But, just research is something that you want to be able to spend some time and read things. And also, now you got to utilize the technology to basically, share it and so forth like that. But it's very, 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 very time consuming. So I need time. I can't be working a regular job and then trying to come to you guys and do. So, by you subscribing, that helps bring the algorithm up and helps me get me up to that point where I can monetize, and then I can be able to have those extra monies coming in and put more time in. So I don't have to, because I have to do overtime sometimes to get the hours these days because they cut back on hours, of work, and so you got to put in more to get more money, more, it's more, it costs more, but less wages. This is the society, or these are the times we live in. This is why we're here. This is why we discuss these things. This is why, decentralized, finances come to be, or, digital currency, because people want more for what, they put in this life. They want freedom. And when you have financial freedom, you have a good portion of your freedom that you automatically supposed to have as a human being brought into this life. So that's what it is, people. All right, until next time, peace out. This is your boy, but not your little boy, Crypto B-Boy, coming at you. Peace.